Good morning, friends, and I am Sandy Fernandez, president and founder of Karmic Currency, and today I bring to you Yari Sequeira, who is a mental health counselor, licensed, by the way, so we are getting really good information today from her. Yari specializes in life transitions, depression, anxiety, substance abuse, and this is so much. It was so important. I was so excited when Yari said that she was going to be able to come out and join me and have this conversation, because it's something that we need so much right now, and everything that you specialize in is even more prominent right now because everyone is going through a life change. Everyone is having depression and anxiety. Everyone is probably struggling with substance abuse. I mean, I've been drinking more than ever, eating more than ever, in addition to working. But, work is sometimes an addiction too. So, this is really starting to show up in a lot of different ways in people's lives. All of our dark, ugly little patterns and our dark little secrets are starting to show up, kind of in the worst way. So I just want to, obviously engage in an amazing conversation with you for you to share all of your beautiful insight, and your lovely mermaid hair, which is so amazing. So for those of you who saw it before you got on, it's a little bit of a culture shock. But I love that because you're just so authentic to yourself, and like attracts like, and I love people who are authentic, who just want to be themselves, who aren't afraid of being themselves. And obviously that makes you so much more relatable. So tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you for having me. It's always a great pleasure to see you and hang out with you and just be in the conversation with you, and now with all the people that are going to be following this call and this video. So I'm very excited.
Yay. Awesome. So let's talk right away about life transition. I've been posting a lot too on my Facebook, not on my Facebook, on my Facebook and my Instagram, a lot about my own story, which, I hope helps people to understand. When I was working at the bank, I was making a ton of money and, getting fired and kind of going from that dark place of, oh my God, what do I do, to having to reinvent yourself and then ultimately finding success. But I think a lot of people are kind of in that same boat, where they've been furloughed or they've been laid off or they've been fired, and they don't know if they're going to have a job to go back to. And we're recording this right now kind of on the heels of our president saying that he wants to go ahead and reopen America, which is great, but it's so scary for everybody, like this crazy roller coaster that we're on. So what are you seeing? Like, what are you, what are you hearing from your patients? What's out there? What are the stuff that they're facing?
So when it comes to the things that I get to hear a lot of fear. Fear is knocking on a lot of people's door right now, and it's showing up in so many different types of ways. You have people that are somaticizing it and coming up with some sort of physical illness or some sort of physical symptoms that they don't know what the hell that is. Some people are just blatantly feeling that they cannot go anywhere and they don't want anybody to come see them and they don't want anybody around and they don't want anybody to have any type of contact. So fear is definitely the one thing that is very palpable right now, which in my personal opinion is an opportunity for self-reflection.
Beautiful. And what's funny is that I do want to use this opportunity to mention that one of the things that I have been saying also a lot is that everyone right now is in their root chakra. And it's funny because you're actually wearing red today.
Yes.
Which is, I know, which is the color of the root chakra. And I tell people a lot right now, I'm like, if no one ever knows what chakras are or what the symptoms are of chakras or how they work, just look around you because everybody's in it right now. Everybody's in fear. They're in survival. They're just like hoarding. They're in lack, feeling this, poverty mentality where everything is going to run out and like, we're all going to die.
The toilet paper issue.
I don't get it. So you're absolutely right. And how are you kind of helping people? I mean, obviously I know that we do a lot of energy stuff also because you're an energy healer as well.
Yes, thankfully, my personal belief system has taken me to explore the power and the beautiful gift that comes with working with one's energy and in connecting and tapping into whoever is around you and making that energy and your energy work together, which is key, right?
Right.
So, fortunately, I have a very different concept of fear, and that is how I try to share whatever comes my way and whatever I've been taught about it with those that call me and say, hey, what's going on here? What can I do? So when I have clients come in lately it's been a lot, I always tell them, okay, this is a great opportunity to start tapping into the duality of where do you fall? Is it, do you fall in fear or do you fall in love? So throughout time, there has been this constant back and forth and tons of research and tons of writers have been focusing on this issue, just like Conversations with God, for instance, which has been around for so long. And he blatantly says it's either love or fear. We have Bruce Lipton in the biology field saying it's either love or fear. We have so many different types of specialties coming around and saying we're pretty much guided by love or fear. Which one are you in? So
Right.
I think Earth is now calling us to say as a collective, okay, people, fear does exist and it impacts us all. It's a matter of how do we want to start showing up to it? How do we want to respond when it's there? And are we okay with being in fear or do we want to transition into love? And
Mm.
how do we do that? Right? So all these, I'm in my house going crazy with my partner, is giving us a glimpse of how is our actual dynamic when there is no distractions. When we have our children at home, I was watching a Facebook meme yesterday and it said, oh, when my child would fail the test, I would be like, did you study? Did you pay attention? And then it said, now my child failed the test and I'm the teacher. And I say, well, we'll get it next time, you know? Because it's a different perspective when you have it in your face 24/7.
Yeah.
And it is then when we can ask ourselves, have I been acting from a place of distraction or am I acting now consciously and looking at things differently because that's what fear is allowing me to do.
Mm. Interesting. It's and I like that because fear allows us to work with our shadow self, with those dark things within ourselves, the things that we typically try to hide from other people, and a lot of times we even try to hide them from ourselves.
Mainly.
And I know, and obviously you'll speak to this as well, and I know that anxiety is often caused because we're uncomfortable. So your body is sending a message, your heart is racing, everything starts to panic, everything starts to freak out because your body is sending you a message that, hey, you need to pay attention to what this is that's going on.
It's an alarm system.
Exactly. So it's interesting, to have those conversations with people and to be able to tell them, listen, when you get that anxiety, really the time is for you to pause. I know it's overwhelming, and anxiety is a very, very real struggle for many, many people. And sometimes it's easier said than done. I don't want to be dismissive to someone who suffers from severe anxiety attacks. But for those who have less, or situational, it's important to use that moment to reflect, what is it that's happening right now? Why am I feeling overwhelmed? Why do I feel trapped in this situation? Why do I feel stuck or the walls are closing in on me? What exactly is happening, to me right now? What kind of tools do you give them, for anybody watching who suffers from, mild to severe anxiety? Like, what are you seeing right now that's helping people?
So what I yesterday I was actually having a conversation with a client because she came in and said, I don't know why I feel this way. Mind you, she has a history of anxiety and she doesn't know why she feels this way. And that happens to a lot, including myself. Sometimes we're like, I don't know what's going on. Yes, you do. You just dismiss it, right? So when it comes to, I don't know what's going on, I don't know what this is, I don't know what I'm feeling, simple trick to go to is sit with yourself and ask yourself, what is it really that I'm afraid of? One question. What is it really that I'm afraid of? So for instance, yesterday with this client, she said, well, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm afraid of the uncertainty. Okay. So I said, let's look into it, because trick number 2 is check your inconsistencies. Uncertainty. Do we all live in an uncertain life? Yes. We don't know when we're going to live or die. We don't know what's going to happen when we get to work. We could get fired at any moment in time. Somebody could call us and say, oh, your test came back pregnant, surprise, right? So uncertainty is actually part of our everyday life. Yet we made friends with that part or that category. So when something unexpected comes around, we freak out, when in reality, all we have to do is look at the fact that we have already been facing uncertainties throughout our life. Right. And we're going to continue to do so. So what is it really that you're afraid of? So for instance, in this particular client, she said, well, I don't know when I'm going to be able to start looking for work. And I said, okay. So in the present moment, at home, some people cannot leave. Yeah. So is it realistic for you to expect that you are going to start looking for that wonderful job that you've always been wanting to have? No. So what is realistic? Realistic is for you to see what are the industries that are open out there that could take you in and give you the opportunity. And I said to her, that's where sometimes we have another inconsistency, because we've been telling ourselves, no, I want this type of life. And now reality hits and you're like, fuck that, I don't want that. No, that's not what I want. That's not my dream, right?
It's true. And I think a lot, and mostly for women, you know, we do have male viewers, but we have majority women following. And I think for women, it's something that has been quite the reality check, because even when my kids were little, I always loved that idea. It was a fantasy for me. I was like, oh, it'd be so nice to be able to stay home and take care of the kids and just be an at-home mom and make dinner. And when my son was born, and by the time that he hit 6 months, I was like, fuck this, I'm ready to go back to work. Like, this is not for me. Yeah. And I think that women who never had that opportunity, who are home now, are starting to realize either, yes, this is exactly what I wanted, and are going to try to make that now happen, or they're going to be like the experience that I had, where they're like, no, this is not for me. Like, I like to go to work. I need to put on my high heels. I need to have adult conversation. I need to, you know, do my thing and not be, you know, caught up in, you know, in that dynamic of really realizing, you know, having a lot of realizations.
Because the reality is, when a pandemic like this hits, or when, you know, anxiety kicks in, or when depression kicks in, it's because it's a personal alarm system. Now it's a collective alarm system, but in a way, you know, again, from my perspective, considering my spiritual beliefs, it's like, for how many decades have the humans in this planet been saying, I want more time at home. Yeah. I want to not work so much. I want to just chill and relax and not have anything to do. So here, Mother Earth, the cosmos, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, said, okay, humans, you are going to get something called the coronavirus, and it's going to take you all and give you everything you have ever wanted for decades, right?
So funny. It's so true. I've seen these like memes, and I say them all the time. I'm like, y'all manifested this, okay? We have been manifesting this for a long time. It's like, we hate Mondays. Monday sucks. We want a longer weekend. You know, we want to have, like you said, I want to have more time. You know, this is ridiculous. I could do my job from home. You know, I don't need to be at this office all this time. So you're absolutely right. I'm like, look, it's a collective manifestation. Everything manifested. You all got what you wanted, and now you're complaining.
It is. So now that we do get that, again, it goes back to checking in. It gives us the gift, or checking our inconsistencies. Oh boy, this is not what I wanted. Oh boy, for instance, when anxiety hits, anxiety's best friend, your best friend for real, trying to tell you, girl or man, whatever you have going on is not working for you. So physically, I'm going to let you know that you need to pay attention to this uncomfortable way where you're at so that we do something about it. So that's how it works as a best friend. Depression is the same thing. You know, we're not happy with something. And mind you, most of the time, anxiety and depression have been around way before you even acknowledged it. It's just that since you have not acknowledged that best friend, or it works like a child. You have a toddler and they want your attention and you're like, yeah, no, go play with it. Go. The child is going to come back louder, is going to throw a tantrum that's louder, and it's going to scream and yell until you say, oh boy, really? Are you doing this to me right now? Yep. Because anxiety is saying, I need you to wake up.
Yep.
Depression is saying, I need you to listen to yourself. I need you to pay attention to what you don't want anymore so that you do something about it. And that's the beauty of this moment, that we all have the opportunity to say, okay, is this really what I want? Was the routine that I was having really what I want? And is this new routine what I want? If it's not, what can I do about it? Right. What are my options? My options. Right?
Yep. It's true. No, I agree. And what are you seeing now too? Because again, I've been joking. I'm like, man, we're going to come out of this either 500 pounds or an alcoholic or both. Yeah. So what are you seeing right now? Like, are you seeing like people are struggling now more with relapsing?
People are drinking more for sure. People are drinking more for sure, which is not a surprise because any substance, whatever substance it is, it's used in most of the time as a distraction because you don't want to deal with whatever is in front of you. So here I am and I'm going to do it. Now, aside from substances, you said work. Some people are working more than ever because now they have more time to focus on that work, right? So sometimes we get to choose what our distractions are going to be. Sometimes it looks like a substance. My partner, he's drinking, he's not a drinker at all. And now he's like, do you want a beer? I'm like, who are you? Like, what's going on here? Because it is scary. And again, that's where the fear and the root chakra is saying, okay, let's revise this. Where are we? How do we want to respond to this? It's okay to have a drink or two. It's a matter what's the intention behind it.
Right. And it's interesting because addiction is something that comes typically from the second and the third chakra. And the second and the third chakra have to do with our self-worth, our self-esteem. And right now, because we are in this state of survival, because we're in this, oh my God, essentially my entire identity has been stripped from me. And a lot of people use their jobs as their identity. They identified as their work. So now they're struggling as to, oh my God, who am I? Who is Sandy? What is she? I was a banker for 23 years. Now, what am I? And what are other people going to say about me? What are other people going to think about me now if I decide not to go to work, if I decide to start a business, So all of that and those energetic points are cause addiction. It could be drinking, could be eating disorders, especially now, we're eating also more than ever. I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, I know, Sandy, that's it. Like, please, I got to let it up. But it's like, what else do I do?
Yeah. And it is the reality for many. It is the reality for many because as a society, that's what we've been taught. We've been taught that here's this distraction, this substance. Oh, here's this exercise routine. Do it 24/7. Every time you have free spots available in your schedule. Do this, eat this, consider this. So as a society, we've been taught to separate ourselves from whatever is happening because that is easier and we can just purchase it. We can just purchase it. I often laugh because I go into the supermarkets and you see all the fruits there, all the avocados, the tomatoes, but then other things, snacks, sodas, empty shelves. I'm like, okay, this comes to show us that sometimes we are definitely just buying into old programs and we have not taken the time to see consciously, is this the program that I want to continue purchasing?
Right.
Because it's just that, it's purchasing something that you were sold.
And again, it goes back to what you were saying about recognizing the anxiety in your body, telling your body, you know, and telling your thoughts in your mind, hey, this is not what I want.
Mm.
You know, so if you are buying junk food and you start getting anxiety, okay, well, look at your shopping cart, because your body is telling you, like you said, go get a bag of apples. Green apples are delicious. Throw them in your salad with some crumbled blue cheese. You know, throw some walnuts in there, put some strawberries, you know, like there's so much delicious stuff that you can feed into your body that's healthy, that's going to help you and reduce anxiety, because that's the other thing is too, is that food also contributes.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Especially people, I'm sorry to tell you all these, but coffee is not the best friend of anxiety. It's never going to be. So for all of you coffee drinkers who have some sort of symptoms of anxiety, reconsider that, because you are also working with your body. So you have your mind and you have your body, they work in unison. So whatever you're eating is going to impact you and the way it expresses itself later.
Yeah.
So yes, food definitely plays a role. And when it comes to, for instance, if I don't buy it and if it's not in my face, I have other options, because then I have to choose differently. So for all of us that are maybe noticing that we're drinking too much, okay, instead of buying this much, let me cut it down to this much, and let me try to see if I practice a new habit. A new habit of purchasing, a new habit of spending my money differently, a new habit of considering adding an exercise routine to my schedule, or a meditation to replace this. So it is definitely allowing us to go back and revise what we have going on, where we're spending our money, because that's another one. Coronavirus came in and said, okay, we're going to close all the shopping malls, people. Do you know how many thousands of money people are saving because they don't have the distraction of going to Ross, going to Target, going to all these stores, buying another pair of shoes that you don't need? So we're literally saving money because the earth is saying, let's revise what you're spending your money in. Mm-hmm. Let's revise how you're getting along with your partner. Let's look into how you're getting along with your children. And most importantly, let's look into how you're treating yourself.
Yep. Yeah. That's the biggest one. That is the biggest one, because we see in others what we see in ourselves, and we are a reflection of what we put out into the world. So it's very important for us to reflect on those things and like you said, and see how we've been treating ourselves. And one of the things that I love about when I did my yoga teacher training, and learning, you know, about their principles, was that everything is inward, you know, mm-hmm. versus other religions and other beliefs, everything is outward. Like if you want to do Bible, let's say, or, you know, anything like that, it's don't kill someone else, don't yell, don't lie to someone else, don't, you know, steal from someone else. But yoga teaches you to turn that inward. So mm-hmm. where are you lying to yourself? Where are you stealing from yourself? Where are you hurting yourself? Where are you being hurtful and ugly with yourself? And all of those things have to do with, you know, anxiety. Are you gentle with yourself when you're having an anxiety attack, or when you feel overwhelmed, mm-hmm. or you're beating yourself up about it and saying, I shouldn't be having this. This is bullshit. You know, no, mm-hmm. it's time to be gentle. I mean, you wouldn't say those things to another person. You wouldn't say those things to your best friend. Why would you say those things to yourself? You know, if you saw your friend was overweight and was sick and had diabetes and was grabbing, you know, the buy one get one free bag of Doritos and Oreo cookies, you would probably say something and be like, you know, I love you. Can we pick something healthy? Like, you know, so we say those things with love, and we should do those things with ourselves as well. Because I think some people are being hard on themselves too right now.
Very. And, you know, that's also another thing that we want to keep in mind. We have to be aware that the reality is that we're human. Yeah. So as humans, we are going to fuck up and we're going to have relapses in whatever aspect of life it is. You're going to relapse in some way, shape, or form, or regress, if you like that term better, because we learn from mistakes. We learn from the darkness. We learn from when we're in fear. We learn from experiences that are not the prettiest. So be kind to yourself by allowing yourself to be okay with the mistakes you made, as long as you're asking yourself, what am I learning from this?
Yeah.
Because if not, you're just going to dwell in the guilt, and that's not beneficial to anybody.
No.
So being kind takes practice. It doesn't happen from one day to the next. It doesn't happen in 20 days. It doesn't happen sometimes in 30 days. Sometimes it takes more than a year, more than 2 years, more than 3 years. You name it, because you're the one that knows your story, and you're the one that knows, okay, I'm going to tackle this first. I'm going to tackle this chapter first. And then it's okay, because I'll get to the other chapters later. So a lot of clients, for instance, come to sessions or seek coaching thinking that it's going to be a snap of the fingers and you're going to be better. No, you're not going to be better like that, because we have stories that we have to uplift and revise and modify and update old programs. So even though in psychology there is something called solution focused is short-term based, because everything has a source. And you have to look into that source so that you can apply it for long term. So when that source is triggered, you're in a better place than where you used to be before. And that does not take 30 days.
No.
That takes way longer.
Yeah.
Right? So in times like this, where we're actually being invited to look into ourselves and say, okay, how do I want to show up for myself? Be kind. Know that you're going to have to try different rituals or different habits or different ceremonies or connecting with people differently, because you have to find your groove, and that might take a while. So it's okay. It's okay.
It's true. It's true. And let me tell you, these making changes to ourselves is very, very difficult, but acknowledging that we want to be better and acknowledging that we want to heal our past traumas. And because I strongly believe that the same way we inherit traumas, the same way that we can pass on healing to our families and to our children, and we don't have to continue to pass on these generational traumas that we're inheriting or that we've seen. We can stop them, to make everyone else better. But the first step is always acknowledging and taking that first step and saying, hey, something's happening and I need help,
Yes.
A lot of times people think that therapy is bad or it's a sign of weakness. And I know that you wanted to briefly touch on vulnerability, and I think it's important that we mention that, because vulnerability is also strength, and it's also acknowledging that you need help,
Yes.
You can do it all on your own.
Yes, and in actuality, therapy has been in your life for a long time. It's just that we don't see it that way, because when we have that best friend that we all go to, we're like, oh, please, let me vent and tell you my problems. Okay, that is a form of therapy. It's just that therapy from a formal perspective with a licensed clinician is going to consider and give you the possibilities of all these different perspectives that we've been trained on, so that we can provide the ones that match you. Whereas as a friend or somebody that's close to you is going to give you their personal perspective. But that's why friendships are therapeutic. So when it comes to it in an inconsistent, catching way, therapy is in our life always. It's just a matter of how you want to approach it. And who do you want to seek the information from, with who, how do you want to share it, and what are you going to be open to? Because sometimes that friend that is therapeutic is going to give you the same storyline always and always and always, because it's their perspective.
Right. It's funny that you mentioned the friends being therapy. It reminds me of Sex and the City, which I love. I'm a Sex and the City junkie. And there was an episode where Carrie was like super overwhelmed. I think she was with the breakup with Big or something like that. And she kept harping on with the girls. And in like the scene, you see her like talking, and Charlotte's like, I've heard you, listen to this already. And the girls pulled an intervention. They were like, listen, honey, you need a therapist, because we're done. We cannot help you. We cannot continue to listen to this. Like, you go.
Yeah. So again, just like therapy, it could be anything that you have set your mind to, that this is how I'm going to resolve it. This situation right now is asking you to revise that. Because for instance, I have clients who say, oh, I'm having virtual happy hours every Friday on the dot. And that same client is telling me, I'm having such a hard time coming to therapy. And I'm like, okay, then you get to choose what you're going to prioritize, because sometimes we are in that happy hour mentality. And that's just taking us to a distraction where we're just going to talk about mundane things and vent a little. But then it's a matter of, is that all you want for yourself in that place?
Yeah, it's like just keeping things superficial. It's like just swimming on the shallow end and never truly learning how to, how to swim,
Fine. As long as you know that that's where you're at, right? So this is about, again, asking, is where I'm at okay? Is where I'm at where I want to stay?
Right.
Or is there something I want differently?
Yeah. No, I agree. So tell us a little bit, Yadi, where we could find you. Where could we get your information? How do you see your clients? Because I do have a lot of viewers that view from everywhere. So are you virtual? Do you do online? Tell us everything.
Well, flexibility, people. Before I was not online because I have this beautiful office that I connected with, and then coronavirus said, okay, girl, no. That's not going to be it. So yes, I am virtual now. And thankfully, like I was telling you earlier, there are platforms that are specifically for mental health that protect your privacy, because we have to follow HIPAA privacy laws. So I do have that offer and availability for my clients. So you can find me online. And the best way for you to start finding me is to go through Psychology Today and just visit my profile, which is just my name, Yariela Sequeira. And then you'll get to read a little bit about what I've done and how I express myself to see if that's even a match for you. Because I have sometimes people call me and they're like, oh, I want a book. And my first response is, let's get to talk for a bit, because maybe I'm not the best person for you. Right. So start off with Psychology Today, look into my profile, see if anything that's there calls your attention. If it doesn't, you can still call me and tell me what's going on, and I'll tell you, well, I might know this person, I might know the other person. Check out their profiles and give it a try. So Psychology Today is one. Then you have IG. You can follow me at IG. It's evolve-in. Actually, it's not dash. It's the one that's under. What do you call it?
Underscore.
The underscore, yeah. So it's evolve_in, which again, it goes back to what Sandy was saying. I believe growth is inward. So you have to evolve in first so that anything else can come outward.
I like that.
Yeah. So it's at evolve_in. And then Facebook, no, people, my Facebook is just my private Facebook. If you do find me there, don't be surprised. It's not going to be anything professional. It's just my life. It's public, so I hope you don't find me there, because I am human too. So it's just Psychology Today and IG. And of course, if you want to shoot me an email, then it's going to be YS, which are my initials, and then LFdiscovery@gmail.com. Or you can call me, and I'm going to give you my number. Don't bombard me with things, please. But it's going to be 786-571-6617.
Awesome. And all her information is going to be in the contacts. We'll put it on there. So don't worry about if you missed it. It'll be down there in the notes. And I appreciate you so much, Mama, coming on and having this, amazing, beautiful call with me. So much good information was shared. That I appreciate you.
Likewise.
Thank you. So all of you guys watching, thank you for tuning in. And again, go out, follow Yadi. She's amazing. Evolve in. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Let's see.
Thank you. Hope to see you all soon. And again, just if you don't have money, don't worry. I have 20-minute free consultations. So if you just have a question and you're like, I don't want to commit, it's okay. Sometimes I don't want to commit. So it's okay, people. Just call. It's 20 minutes for free.
Fantastic. That's great advice. 20 minutes. Take advantage of that. That's good. I'm going to call you now.